We just finished up a crazy weekend of professional wrestling this weekend. There was a whole lot of stuff going on from TNA pay-per-views, AEW pay-per-views, NXT pay-per-views, and main roster WWE pay-per-views all in one weekend. So it was a lot to keep up with. So we're not going to make individual videos for everything, but we're just going to talk about the most important results of the entire weekend all in one video.
With just the major shows, we probably had over 40 matches this weekend. So a lot to go over. And yeah, a lot of good stuff coming out of it as well.
I'm going to kick the weekend off with Night of Champions. One of the pay-per-views where, for me in general, I haven't really been enjoying WWE a ton recently. Same thing with AEW, TNA. I don't even really think about them anymore. So I haven't really been enjoying a whole lot of stuff. So I wasn't like too excited for this whole weekend really. I was kind of like a little bit down on it. Forbidden Door is not my favorite pay-per-view. Night of Champions isn't really one of the big pay-per-views that really make a difference really. This one felt a little bit different with the King of the Ring and all that kind of stuff. But to my surprise, the Night of Champions was an amazing pay-per-view. I actually really enjoyed it. Probably a top 3 or 4 pay-per-view from WWE this year. A pretty good pay-per-view. I enjoyed the results. I enjoyed everything about it. But what are your overall thoughts on Night of Champions?
Yeah, I think I can agree that they did make a lot of right decisions at the very least. I think obviously a lot of people are going to talk about that main event with what ended up happening. But also the King and Queen of the Ring runners, I think, were the best decisions you could go with. Jey Uso and Obafemi felt really one-sided, but there was that chance of, an upset happening. Same thing with Io and Liv. We didn't know really what the direction and why Liv Morgan's really going after this win, even though she's already a champion. Obviously, she can go for a double champion, but it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, they made the right decision, and I think that is one of the most important things, outside of also having good matches, which they did have a few good ones this week.
And they kicked the show off with Obafemi versus Jey Uso. Now, I'll be completely honest, the match wasn't all that, but it really doesn't matter at all. The whole point of this match was to just get Obafemi over, get him to that King of the Ring, and just make it official. He is the King of the Ring, and they did do it. Obafemi won the match. The match wasn't all that. It wasn't great. It's a typical, I guess, Jey Uso match, if you want to call it that. But yeah, the right result. Obafemi wins, and now we could be very excited to see where he goes. It's not official that he's going after Roman, but you could kind of assume that he will be facing Roman at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely the best call to go with. Obafemi has been kind of having a great year, obviously, that we all know of now, but it has been since day one that he said, I'm gonna make my moment, and then I'm gonna go after Roman. And then once I do that, I will be taking his world champion from him. Roman has been holding his end of the stick. Now it's time for Oba to do that for himself. I'm glad that they didn't have too much shenanigans in this match. And I did think Brock Lesnar was going to interfere to set up that third match at SummerSlam. But yeah, Obafemi does get the win here. That's all that matters. And yeah, Mr. King of the Ring now, the ruler to the king.
Yeah, and I guess Jey Uso will have some things to answer to when it comes to Roman. I guess Roman will be disappointed at him, mad at him, whatever the case may be. I guess we'll find out this Monday. But yeah, very exciting kind of moment there for Obafemi to be straight from NXT to King of the Ring and now facing Roman at SummerSlam potentially for the world title. So that's an amazing come up from him, and I think everyone is very excited for Obafemi at the moment. But on to the second big result of Night of Champions. We have Io Sky defeating Liv Morgan to become Queen of the Ring. Now this was, I would say people definitely expected this to happen. I would say most people expected Io Sky to win. And then I also feel like most people are kind of expecting Liv Morgan to win the SummerSlam match. This match wasn't all that, but they did show a lot of signs and flashes of them being really good. So hopefully the SummerSlam match will hit a lot better than this one did, because I do have a lot of high hopes for that one.
Yeah, I do think that we'll see Io go after Liv Morgan. It only feels right now. If she beat her once, who's to say she can't beat her again? And I think Io has like confidence to go into that match. But yeah, I do see Liv Morgan kind of probably beating her at SummerSlam. I am a little bit surprised because I did have a feeling that WWE wants to run Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley once again. With Liv Morgan kind of going on this run, it kind of felt that maybe she does win. She goes against Rhea at SummerSlam. I kind of feel like it's more of a Mania match. But obviously they kind of want to cool that down for a while. They've done that for a while now. So I'm glad they still are separated. But yeah, Io getting the win here was the right decision. It didn't really make too much sense for Liv Morgan to win again. So yeah, Io going to SummerSlam now feels amazing.
Yeah, and I guess they kind of protected Liv Morgan as well, because before the match started, Danhausen cursed Liv Morgan, so that's WWE's way of kind of like protecting her and getting Danhausen's face on the card and all that kind of stuff. I know some people didn't really like that. I don't really mind. It's kind of just whatever to me. It was a quick little thing, whatever. But yeah, that's how they protected her. I guess it works, whatever. But yeah, the result ultimately is the thing that matters. Io Sky is Queen of the Ring, so that's another kind of notch under her belt that she could hold in the WWE now. On to the next match that was very disappointing to me at the very least, and that was Tiffany Stratton defeating Jade Cargill. Now, obviously, we've seen these two work together a whole lot when Tiffany Stratton was the world champion and she was going after Jade Cargill. They was kind of having back-to-back matches over and over and over again. They went against each other probably 6-ish times maybe during that run. This was another one to that, and this didn't feel any different. None of those previous matches were very good, and this one didn't really kind of break the curse or anything. This was kind of just right on par for what their other matches were. I will say the finish was very good. I did like that Mia Yim and B-Fab came out, Charlotte came out, Chelsea came out. It's kind of this whole kind of a mess finish of a match, but I feel like that mess finish kind of made up for the match being bad a little bit, because at least it was fun and entertaining and we had cool interactions with people, whereas the match, there was really nothing to kind of grasp onto, hold on to, and say, yeah, that's what I remember this match for. But I think a lot of people will remember that finish at the very least.
Yeah, this entire like situation with Jay, Tiffany, originally kind of, at least we kind of thought Rhea Ripley was going to be in this mix. Obviously, she was kind of rumored to be on this card, but for whatever reason, she's out. So it kind of just felt like they are kind of throwing stuff together kind of last minute. Obviously, who knows what the real reason it may be. But yeah, I think everything here is kind of just not literally last second decisions, but it does feel a little bit kind of thrown together in the past few weeks. But Tiffany winning is obviously the right decision. I didn't want Jade to win the champion. I feel like Tiffany is going to decent little run right now. I'd like to see her continue it, get a few more wins under her belt, and obviously build up their next champion, whether that is Jade or not. I still don't think so. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Jade to take the loss here. But obviously, the way it did happen, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm kind of assuming that we'll see Blake Monroe and Tiffany Stratton come SummerSlam. I know Blake Monroe is kind of going after Julia right now, but I'm assuming the winner of that feud will go up to the United States Championship, and I'm assuming that will be Blake Monroe. And then also with Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair, I'm also expecting them to have a match at SummerSlam, but potentially for the world title, assuming maybe Rhea has to drop it or whatever the case may be, is vacated. I don't know, but I do think that that will be a match come SummerSlam. Maybe it does just involve Rhea and it's a triple threat, but this is a very exciting match. It set up a lot of things. The match wasn't good, as I mentioned, but like I mentioned, it set up a whole lot of things to kind of go on to in the future. So I'm very excited for that at the very least, as well as kind of establish the Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton kind of relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, between the two. And for our main event and the most talked about thing of Night of Champions, and maybe the entire weekend in general, honestly, is going to be Sami Zayn becoming the WWE Undisputed Champion, defeating Cody Rhodes and Gunther in the main event. Now, this match was an absolute banger. I really enjoyed this match. This was a very big result. I feel like most people just kind of expected Cody Rhodes to win, or if not Cody, definitely Gunther was going to be the one to walk away. But Sami Zayn takes it home before WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia next year. So that's kind of an exciting thing that WWE pulled the trigger now. That makes you kind of think that, all right, maybe Sami Zayn just won't be around the world title picture come WrestleMania, which might be a little bit disappointing because, you know, obviously it'd be really cool to see him in that big moment at WrestleMania. But he wins it here, still wins it in Saudi Arabia at the very least. And it's just a big surprising moment. No one expected this to happen. And at least for me, this is just like a moment that people have been waiting for, that I have been waiting for a very long time. It feels deserved. And obviously Sami Zayn is someone who's been around for a long time. And yeah, it meant a lot to him. You could tell by the reaction to the win as well.
This is obviously one of the most kind of surprising results I think we kind of got in some time in pro wrestling. Seeing Sami Zayn come out and win is something that I didn't really think I was going to see. And obviously being a big Sami Zayn fan, I'm obviously over the moon for him. A bit of me didn't realize he actually won until I kind of started hearing the music. I kind of didn't really realize that he won off of a roll-up, so a little bit crazy. But yeah, Sami Zayn is the world champion finally in WWE after so many years in the company, after having so many amazing matches, putting in so much work. He finally gets it done, and yeah, obviously a great moment. The one thing I will say about this match is the amount of close calls in this match that I've bid on is absolutely insane. That's one thing WWE always does well in these big matches, is, you know, the close calls, and they delivered here. I definitely had a few moments where I thought Gunther was going to win, or Cody was going to win, but in the end, Sami Zayn comes out on top and is the new world champion.
And the next pay-per-view that would happen this weekend would be TNA Slammiversary. However, I've been very down on TNA. I don't think there's pretty much anything good going on with that company at the moment. I don't like a whole lot of things going on, so I didn't really bother watching. I watched one or two matches. They were decent, whatever it was. Not really going to talk about that pay-per-view. We're just going to glance over that one. We're going to go straight to Great American Bash. But we have a few very exciting kind of things that happened at Great American Bash. This was kind of one of the more exciting pay-per-views when you look at it on paper. There was also 7 matches, which was just kind of like not the usual with WWE, obviously. This was also the first time that an NXT pay-per-view would air live on TV on the CW. That'll be something that I guess we'll get into at the end of it. Not really caring too much for that. We got Tony D'Angelo defeating Naraku, retaining the NXT Championship. And this was a surprisingly good match. The only thing that's kind of bad about it is I really feel like Naraku took a big hit during this whole feud with Tony D'Angelo. Obviously, he got a win early on versus Mason Rook. That's cool to get a win over a rookie and all, but it really doesn't mean a whole lot. But then he loses to Tony D'Angelo. They do the fireball thing. He injures his eye. They have a new rematch tonight where Tony D'Angelo has one eye. So it just kind of feels like Naraku was probably going to walk away with the win. However, Tony D'Angelo, despite everything, does pick up the win, retains the title. And Naraku takes a huge hit to his character in NXT, in my opinion, because this is 2 very big losses, one on a big PLE, one on kind of like a big just NXT show in general, a big championship match, obviously. And yeah, I don't really know where he goes from here because Tony D'Angelo is still the champion, so it doesn't feel like they're going to run it back a 3rd time after he lost twice. So hopefully they do something to kind of make up for that and get him back interesting again, because I was kind of starting to like Naraku a little bit, but they definitely going to have to do a little bit more work now.
Yeah, I think if you're Naraku, you're probably a little bit worried of like what's going to happen now. Obviously, I'm sure he had aspirations to probably win the world championship. You know, when they kind of told him that he was going to be in this world champion kind of program with Tony D. But now that it looks like it's probably going to be over now, it does suck for him because, like you said, he does take some big losses now, and you really have no real direction. It does suck for him, but I do think Tony D'Angelo is obviously a better wrestler right now, and he's somebody who I'd rather see right now on NXT TV is Tony D. So it is the right decision in some ways, but for Naraku, it really does suck.
But my second favorite match of Great American Bash is going to be Zarya retaining her title over Tatum Paxley. And this was probably one of the most hard-hitting WWE matches that I've seen in quite some time. They've done things and moves that you don't typically see in the WWE world, just not hardcore moves in terms of blood or anything like that, but just stiff moves that just hurt a lot, that you don't really see people take in WWE. We seen Zarya kind of hold Tatum Paxley on the outside of the ring and just drop her on her back, and it was a nasty fall, like almost like a senton. There was also a sunset power bomb from Tatum Paxley to Zarya to the outside of the ring. There was a whole lot of good stuff about this match. Crowd reacted to Zarya winning a whole lot in the moments where she was on top. The crowd was really behind her, so I definitely feel like they made the right choice in letting her win. It does feel a little bit weird for Tatum Paxley because she was also very over with the NXT crowd, and that definitely seems like it took a hit over the last couple of weeks, but it does seem like she will be going up to the main roster at some point in the near future. That's another very exciting thing for the main roster. However, that's another big hit to the NXT roster.
Pretty much outside of Kendall Gray, I would say Zarya and Tatum have been the aces of the women's division and really just NXT in general. They're really the pretty much shining lights of that show right now for me. Great decision. She's phenomenal. She's on a great run right now. I'd love to see the momentum kind of continue onto main roster. It's a little weird with her character. Who knows how well she will get booked? Does she get booked like a Chelsea Green? Obviously, Chelsea Green was a former United States champion, so it's not the worst, but you would hope that with the success she did just come off of, you hope that she does continue that success on the main roster.
And I just wanted to give a quick little mention to this match because it was a very exciting match that people were excited for, and that's Saquon Sugars picking up the big win over Dion Lennox. I feel like most people probably thought Saquon was going to lose and there would be some kind of involvement with Dark State, which I guess that kind of was the case in a way, but he did still ultimately pick up the win, and it was a very good match, a very exciting match. I enjoy Saquon Sugars. It looks like he will be kind of in line for another big singles run, or not another one, I guess his first big singles run, and it looks like potentially he could be the one to be going after Tony D'Angelo next by the looks of it. So if that is the case, that's a very exciting match and a very exciting thing to kind of look upon, of Saquon Sugars being the NXT champion. I feel like that would be a very quick come up from him because it felt like he was on the bottom of the card being with Dark State, and then to eventually get all the way to the NXT championship in that quick time, I feel like that would be a big come up for Saquon Sugars.
I've been lucky enough to kind of watch him since DPW as Lucky Ali. I remember seeing some of those promos and watching his style. I was like, man, this guy's really different. He's unique, and I think he could be a top guy, especially NXT right now when there's not really too many top guys of that caliber right now. And I'm glad that he's finally getting his opportunity. He's somebody who I hope has big goals. I hope he is able to go after Tony D'Angelo and hopefully win. Obviously, with him and Dark State looking like it's not fully over between these all these guys, I'm sure we'll see them go after, or they'll go after Saquon again. And yeah, hopefully he comes out strong. And yeah, I'm glad that my boy is finally getting his opportunities.
Yet another massive match result coming up next, and that is Kendall Gray defeating Lola Vice to become the NXT Women's Champion. She obviously had a title match in January, and people were kind of hoping she would win it back then against JC Jane and things of that nature. Didn't really happen. Now she does win it, and people were very excited for her. I feel like the build that they did to get her to this point was very good. It was worth the wait from January to now to put the title on her, and yeah, it was literally perfect. This match was probably the best match on the card. Not probably, this was the best match on the card. Kendall Gray is an absolute demon in the ring, one of the best women's wrestlers already. I'd probably put her around top 25-ish in the world, which is crazy to say that a Evolve girl who just came up to NXT is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but it is what it is. Top 25 in the world from me for Kendall Gray. And Lola Vice, I'm gonna speak about her too, because she has had a very good run in AAA. She's doing a lot of good stuff there as well. So Lola Vice has been a very good champion. I know a lot of people might not like her, and yeah, so shout out to Lola Vice. Hopefully she sees a whole lot of success in the AAA side of things if she does stick around there. But for Kendall Gray, that's like the new star child of NXT at the moment.
Yeah, this is a moment that was very much needed. I think Kendall Gray has become probably the most talked about up and coming wrestler. She's probably the new kind of face of this younger generation right now, and I think she is somebody that deserves this opportunity. She is now the world champion. I hope this stays for the belt stays around her waist for a while. She is somebody who is obviously going to have continuous amounts of great matches, so I can't wait to see how much she gets better and stuff like that. For Lola Vice as well, like you mentioned, she's definitely have been proved so much over the past few years. I think for me, she was definitely somebody that I knew that could be good back then, but now seeing her kind of in this world title picture where she was from a few years ago is great to see. Hopefully she does go to AAA and continues doing great work there. She probably gets called up to main roster as well, is kind of what I'm thinking as well. But whatever the case may be for Lola, she's been incredible, but now it is time for Kendall Gray, and this could be the change that NXT kind of needed to really bring back some of those viewers that may have gone when you had all those call-ups kind of happen over the past few months.
Yeah, and then the last thing that we will talk about with the show is the fact that it was on live TV and stuff. I do want to kind of complain about that a little bit, because this is a pay-per-view at the end of the day. These are big championship matches, and then in every single match we gotta add during literally every single match, and that's very, very annoying. It takes you out of the match completely. So hopefully CW could like see these complaints from not just me, but a lot of people in general, I feel like, and just kind of make some kind of change. Like, even if it's during the entrances, I don't really care, to be honest. I'd rather see it during the entrances than have it happen during the match itself. So if you have to do it during the entrances, sure, just take the L. I'll take the L and miss the entrances if I have to, but at least give us some kind of way, WWE, to watch the show without ads, whether it be on ESPN Plus. We're already paying for that anyway, so just put it on there. Peacock, I don't know where it could go, but just put it somewhere we could watch it ad free, because this was kind of ridiculous to have this amount of ads during the matches.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a real pay-per-view when you do have those ads. And I think at the very least you should do at least like an hour of ad-free, or at least the main event is going to be ad-free television, because I think that is obviously your most important match. It makes sense that everybody gets to see that. I understand why it's on cable television, just so you can have more eyes on it, which I think is fine. But I think you do need to work around if we're going to have one show every few months, because this is only like the third or fourth NXT show this year. I think it makes sense to kind of have at least 1 hour, 2 hours even of ad-free television. So yeah, but with that being said, though, still a pretty solid night from NXT.
And kicking off Forbidden Door for AEW, we have Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. A very exciting match. Someone who's always on the Forbidden Door card, and Zack Sabre Jr. Always a very exciting match and gets people excited. Not my favorite wrestler, not my favorite style of wrestling in general, but I know a lot of people are, so I'll let you kind of explain this match and do your talking for it.
Yeah, this match was a very fun one. Obviously, if you know of Zack Sabre Jr., know it's going to be a lot more of a technical mat ground type of match, and this match was no different. Kenny Omega definitely felt like he definitely adapted to the Zack Sabre style instead of Zack forcing Zack to adapt to his style, which I did really enjoy. And I like the kind of storytelling over the past few weeks into this match was that Zack Sabre Jr. was going to do this to kind of get himself his own opportunity for that world championship, but we kind of all knew that Kenny was going to win this match, especially if it means there was going to be some type of title implications, Obviously, nothing's confirmed, but it can only be assumed that Kenny will be going into that running of the world champion going into All In season. So maybe we see Kenny go after that world champion at All In. But yeah, he picked up the win over Zach. He does now have a win over one of the best wrestlers in the world. So Kenny Omega back on his grind, and yeah, looking pretty good for the cleaner.
And up next for AEW, we have Jon Moxley defeating Bandito, retaining the Continental Champion. And I guess the big talking point about this match was, one, an amazing match. Obviously, Bandito, Jon Moxley, a really good combination. I didn't really expect to work, but it just did, honestly. But the big talking point is going to be kind of the mask of Bandito getting ripped off. And I don't know if this was on purpose. I don't really think it was, to be honest. I think it was meant to rip, but maybe not that much, that far. That was kind of the big talking point. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter kind of bringing that up, and obviously the blood going through it, that made it a lot better, honestly, with the tear in it, because it got all over on the outside of the mask. And yeah, just an amazing match, a blood-filled match, a match where I definitely expected Bandito to win. In terms of like going into the match, I definitely thought Moxley was gonna win, but when the match was happening, I was seeing Bandito just kick his ass at certain points. I was like, okay, Bandito's taking this one home for sure. But Jon Moxley takes it home, unfortunately.
Yeah, Moxley is absolutely on a streak right now, and I love kind of like this style that Moxley has been going over for the past few matches, is that he has these crazy matches that are really hard and kind of going through it, but in the end, Moxley kind of has a respect for some of these opponents. Now Bandito gets that sign of respect for Moxley, and yeah, I'm interested in where this goes for Moxley when this is all said and done for him, because it does feel like he's kind of building towards a moment where he is finally changed and he's turned. Obviously, I feel like we're still pretty far away removed from that, but Moxley picking up the win here, I think, is still cool. Bandito kind of gets that big moment again to kind of keep up his amazing year that he's still been having, and hopefully we do get some more momentum for him building up into All In, because I do want to see him on that card. Don't know where he'll be fit in. Hopefully it's something with a Kevin Knight. I think that'd be an amazing match. But Moxley picking up the win here kind of felt a little bit inevitable, but I don't mind it either.
Yeah, but something that might confirm that maybe Moxley didn't change is Shota Umino defeated Pac, retaining his IWGP Heavyweight Championship. But then after the match, Jon Moxley kind of comes out and tries to go face-to-face with him, confronts him. But who comes out to save him? But Hiroshi Tanahashi, the legend of New Japan, comes out and kind of makes the save, I guess. Maybe kind of Jon Moxley just kind of respects him. So he's like, all right, if he's coming out, I'll leave. And then, you know, he ends up leaving. He puts the title on him. And it was a pretty cool moment for Shota. But as far as the match with Shota and Pac, that was an amazing match. I was a little bit distracted because this was on at the same time as the Kindle match. So I was kind of like going back and forth between these two, trying to figure out which one wanted to watch at which time. But from what I've seen, this was an amazing match. I definitely enjoyed this one, especially the Tanahashi match, the Tanahashi moment after as well.
Yeah, Shota has been somebody that I've seen a little bit of here and there. Obviously, I know he's been going through a lot of stuff in New Japan, but seeing him back again interact with Mox was kind of cool. Mox has always been a fan of Shota, and he kind of wanted to adopt him into his own group, but obviously Shota staying in New Japan has kind of halted that, so to see them interact here was cool. Seeing Tanahashi as well is really nice. Moxley kind of fearing away the old dog is kind of cool as well, but yeah, great match from these two. Glad that Shota was able to win here. I was kind of assuming that with the belt being on the line, didn't think Pac would take that win, as well as this is pretty much the only match where you've seen the other Forbidden Door company win over the AEW person. So much needed. Wish I'd been a little bit more in saying that, but glad that this was a very good match.
And for the next match, this is a match where I definitely thought that the other person should have won the match when it came down to it, and that is Thekla retaining the AEW Championship versus Starlight Kid. Now, this match was amazing. If there is going to be a match to kind of beat the top two matches of this night, which I'm just going to spoil it now, Will Ospreay and Swerve and Mercedes and Maya, probably the two best matches on the night to most people, but this is going to be a hard third best match on the night for AEW. This was a very, very good match. Thekla, she hasn't really had me super interested in her in-ring. It's more so her promos, her character, and things of that nature, but her in-ring was very, very good on the night tonight. Her and Starlight Kid, I don't know if they worked together previous to this or not, because I know they were both in Stardom, but they just had a lot of really good chemistry with each other. They worked really well off each other. I don't know what that submission move is called that Starlight Kid does with the like kind of knee over her neck, and I don't know what it's called, but it is an amazing move. I really enjoyed it, and it definitely makes me want to watch more Starlight Kid in the future.
Yeah, this match was incredible. I would go on to say that this is probably Thekla's best match in AEW. This one definitely kind of surprised me with how good it ended up being. I'm not too familiar with Starlight Kid. I've heard about the name. I've seen a few clips, but this one definitely definitely made me a fan of her. So yeah, I definitely was feeling that the same sentiment as you, where I thought Starlight Kid kind of should have and could have won this match. Especially when, like you said, when she got her in that hole and she had every limb, it felt like there was no way of possibly getting out of that. But unfortunately, Thekla did. But I think the most important and the best part of this match was after the match, where Thekla takes off the mask of Starlight Kid and takes it, spits in it, throws it at the president of Stardom, and just kind of slaps him once or twice with the mask, and he just dies. He just completely folds and is just knocked out over a little slap of a mask, which I thought was really strong and shows how good Thekla is, of how the strength she carries.
That was definitely a weird thing for me, because in a way I didn't really like her taking the mask off. You never really like that, especially when it's someone like Starlight after this big match where she just lost and trying to rubbing dirt in the wounds at that point, where you beat her and now you're doing all this. I feel like that was kind of unnecessary. You could have just let her leave, and she already took a loss. So I mean, I don't know if that was fully necessary, but I get that you want to kind of have an interaction between Okada and Thekla, and you know, I guess that's how we got to it. But you know, we definitely could have did it in a different way. I don't really care for ripping the mask off and all that sort of stuff, because the match was a banger. You already kind of felt bad because she lost, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know how I feel about it, but she's healed, so whatever. And for the AEW Tag Team Championships, Cope and Cage come out to defend them versus the Dogs, and they do retain the titles, but with the help of a very special guest.
Yeah, this one was a pretty solid match, staying with the match. Yeah, it was pretty solid. We had a lot of kind of Christian taking a lot of a beating from the Dogs, but eventually we get a hot tag. Cope comes in, kind of makes a save, and then we eventually, like you said, get the lights turned out, and we see the Bang Bang Gang on the entrance ramp. Pretty weird. There's no music coming out. They're just all kind of doing their guns up, and then when the lights come back on, we go back to the ring. It is none other than Mr. Ready Jay White with our behind David Finlay, and he takes them out to give Cope and Christian the win. Jay White back in AEW is something that I'm so happy about, because in this landscape, I think it is his best time to finally come back. A lot of big names who are going after big titles, so wondering where his name falls in the hat, but I am really glad that he is finally back.
And this is the perfect time for Jay White to come back. There's a whole lot of interesting things going on in AEW, and there's no like huge storyline like things going on at the moment, but I feel like Jay White is the perfect person to put in a big storyline right now. I mean, you heard the reaction to the crowd whenever he was revealed. It was a massive reaction. The crowd, that was probably the biggest reaction on the entire weekend, not even just the night, maybe even over the Sami Zayn moment in Saudi Arabia, to be honest. There's probably a fight between these two moments, but Jay White was extremely over. Everyone loved him. I love him. He's one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW, probably my second favorite behind Darby Allin. So yeah, this is a big moment for me. I'm excited for the Bang Bang Gang as well to kind of be back in full strength, fully healthy. Hopefully we see them get some trios titles very, very soon. But yeah, a big, very exciting moment, a landscape changing moment for AEW to have all these people back at once. And now you also have a new kind of faction to feud with the Don Callis family. So that's potentially something that we could see in a big steel cage match later on, because you know AEW loves to do those multi-man matches. For the second best match of the night, potentially even the first best match, I would put it at first best myself. Mercedes Moné versus Maya World for the Owen Hart Cup Finals was an absolute banger. One of my favorite matches on the entire weekend, but especially on this card. I really, really enjoyed it. There was a little bit of a kind of wardrobe malfunction at the beginning, where they kind of had to have some weird moments of Mercedes just being on camera, just kind of emoting around the ring and stuff, but they kind of got that figured out, and then Maya came back into the ring, and then from there, when she came back in, it was absolute fire from that point all the way to the end. It was just non-stop action. It was more so the pace of what I thought that Will Ospreay and Swerve was going to give us, but they kind of slowed it down and gave us a more slower paced match for that one, whereas this one was a big, fast-paced, hard-hitting match that we got for the night. I can't say I'm disappointed in what they gave us with this, because Maya World definitely had the entire crowd bit that she was going to win this match at different points throughout it. The kind of cockiness and flashiness of Maya World and Mercedes just kind of meshed perfectly as well. The commentary was on point, just bringing up the fact that Maya was a big fan of Mercedes. They met each other, and all kinds of stuff between the two happened, that like non-canon stuff, obviously. So this match is happening, being this good, and then Mercedes becoming a two-time Owen Hart Cup tournament winner is just a huge moment. And yeah, I can't really give this match enough praise, especially to Maya World as well.
Yeah, it is almost impossible to not be a fan of Maya Ward right now. I think when you look at her journey over the past few months, obviously everybody knows about the stuff with Tegan Knox. She replaces her with High End, and now she's going into this Owen Hart tournament final match. But I think it's just so great to see how hard she's worked, and she had a phenomenal match. This wasn't just a good match. This was a great match. One of the matches I think everybody should kind of go out their way to watch. And yeah, Maya World, to have so many close calls, like you said, to kind of almost get that win. And I thought when she had her in the bank statement, I was definitely thinking that was where we're going to see it. But unfortunately, Mercedes reverses it, and then she gets her on her own. And when she wrenches that neck, you kind of knew it was over. But Mercedes Moné going back for the world champion is great. I think it was kind of a little bit assumed. It would have been amazing to see Maya World win. But I do think the new theory is that Maya World will be the one to dethrone Athena. After the match, Athena kind of talked her shit towards Maya World, saying that, yeah, there was no way in hell once she beat me that she was going to beat Mercedes as well. So I do feel that Maya World will continue her momentum, but in Ring of Honor now. I do think she will hopefully still show up on AEW TV, so I would hate to see that stop. But I do think she will be the one to dethrone Athena.
Yeah, I really hope that is not the case, because I feel like this moment made Maya World. I feel like she is officially a star after this match. You just have to kind of continue the momentum, and everything will fall in place from there. I feel like you really don't have to do too much with it. And I feel like this moment kind of made her. I guess the big point of what we'll see officially from Maya World will be this Wednesday. If she shows up on Dynamite, will that crowd react to her as well? Or was it just that big forbidden door kind of, pay-per-view excitement? I think this Wednesday is going to be a big moment. Hopefully we see her come out and have a big moment, because I do think that Maya World can be like the new big star. I don't want to say that too quickly or too kind of sudden, but at the same time, if she's this over, if she's this good, if the crowd enjoy her, we enjoy her, why not just kind of give her a little boost? The TBS championship is kind of up for grabs at the moment, kind of, so why not just kind of slide her in there, let her find her way throughout that tournament, win it, whatever the case may be. I don't know, but just let Maya World hold some kind of gold. And for the second to last match on this AEW card, we have the big 12-man steel cage match. Y'all know the people involved. I don't have to name all these different people, but it's basically Don Callis family and MJF versus the conglomeration, Darby Allin and Takeshita. So a very cool match, a cool, unique set of people in the ring together. Obviously, they kind of have history all with each other as far as Takeshita and Okada, Takeshita and Fletcher, Briscoe and MJF, and just everyone kind of has a little bit of interaction with each other. But I will say this is probably just not my least favorite match, but just the one I cared about the least. Once the match started, I got what the match was going to be. It was going to be not this super serious, bloody, crazy match, even though we did get blood and there was some crazy moments. It's not really a match for me. I don't really care for this a whole lot. They had the big Andrade turn during. That was probably my favorite point during the match when it came to the ending. But yeah, not a whole lot of good stuff for me, honestly.
One thing I will say about this match was I was really happy for Jake Doyle. He was probably the MVP of this match. Got a lot of time. He was kind of around MJF's side for a good portion of this match, as well with Kevin Knight. He was obviously the muscle of the group, but I am really glad that with him just returning still somewhat recently, I'm glad that he's still keeping his momentum up, and it looks like they do have some type of kind of investment in him going on, which I'm really glad about. And yeah, a lot of cool moments up here. We've seen Kyle O'Reilly pull out the NES, and each of the conglomeration members had a backpack for a little gimmick. Kyle O'Reilly had the NES. In Roderick Strong's bag, we had Leo Rush, which he made an appearance during this match, which I'm kind of interested in this character. I don't know where the hell it's going. He's a little crazy, obviously, so who knows? But eventually, Don Callis put him back in the bag and threw him back into the ring, which is pretty funny. We see Mark Briscoe have the tax in his. Takeshita waited for Okada to be in there, and he put out the middle finger for him. And then Darby Allin's, he left his on the top of the cage, which was also a circular cage, which is pretty new, or which is brand new for AEW. But he the bag ends up exploding on Kevin Knight. He falls off the top of the cage into some tables. He doesn't go through the second layer of tables though. He kind of breaks his fall, so that was a little scary, but it looks like he was okay. And yeah, overall, really fun match. A lot of cool moments during it. And yeah, Andrade turns to help set up the win for the babyface team. And now Mark Briscoe will be challenging MJF this Wednesday on Dynamite. So we know won't be the next pay-per-view. So it looks like we might not be having MJF as champion going towards the next pay-per-view even.
But for the main event of the night, we have Will Ospreay defeating Swerve Strickland, becoming the winner of the Owen Hart tournament. A very, very good match, very exciting match. Didn't really meet maybe my expectations or standards that I kind of had set for it. I do believe that other match was better than this one, But that's not to say that this match was bad at all, because it was still like a 4.5 at the very least.
Yeah, this match was absolutely insane. When I tell you this is a match where both men quite literally left everything in the ring, that is exactly what they did. We've seen both of them pull out all of their best stunts. We've seen the vertebreaker from Swerve. We've seen the Tiger Driver from Ospreay. We've seen the Stormbreaker from Ospreay. Everything that they could possibly have done, they did it inside this match. Swerve Strickland also came out as Lobo, and Ospreay came out as Bane, which I know is there's gonna be a new movie coming out, so hopefully there's something cool for that. But yeah, this was obviously an amazing match. We've seen the Death Riders kind of come out to kind of help Ospreay a little bit. They were around his corner. They didn't really interfere in the match, but it did kind of throw Swerve off a little bit. I would say that ended up helping Ospreay, especially after he got hit with the house call, and he gets hit, he turns his head, and he's looking straight at Moxley to kind of motivate him back into this match. But yeah, really cool finish. Ospreay winning. It was kind of the decision we all thought it was going to be, but now that it's official, does look like a crazy main event now for All In, where we can only presume it will be Ospreay versus MJF. But a feeling that I think will happen is Ospreay versus Kenny at All In, which I think is probably going to be the bigger and honestly better match, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would probably prefer the MJF side of things, just because I think that's just a big match as well. I think I do agree that the Kenny match would be just better in general, but I think the MJF match is just bigger in general, just like bigger names, more excitement, things of that nature. But you can't really go wrong no matter which way you choose. They're all amazing options. Even if Swerve won this, doesn't really matter. But this match, I think what I felt about it was I was expecting a very fast-paced match such as the last one. I was expecting this like high-flying, fast-paced, not so much technical wrestling, but it was literally the complete opposite of that. It was a little bit slower. There was a lot of technical wrestling. There wasn't any high-flying really. It was Ospreay just kind of grappling with Swerve Strickland, and there was a whole lot of blood throughout this match. One of the most kind of brutal moments throughout this match was when Will Ospreay had Jon Moxley on the ground, and he was trying to throw him against the ring, but he kept on kind of blocking and pushing off the ring. So instead of just throwing him against the ring, why not just throw him against the steel steps? So he just kind of swings his head like Claudio straight into the steps, and it was actually like a pretty nasty kind of fall into the steel steps. They use the steel steps a lot throughout this match, actually slamming each other's heads in it. We seen they tried to do the vertebreaker onto it as well. That didn't really work out for him, unfortunately. Wow, this match was just super hard hitting. It was an amazing match, just didn't meet the standards of the last match to me. With that win, Will Ospreay will be going to All In to potentially face MJF, maybe Mark Briscoe, maybe Kenny Omega, maybe someone else that we don't know about yet. But yeah, Will Ospreay either way will be getting a world title match at All In, so that'll be a very amazing moment for him in his home country, just having a big match, big moment, one of the biggest stadiums in the world. That'll be definitely a hype moment, so hopefully everyone will enjoy that. The build to it should be very good. Remembrance is right around the corner, just a few weeks away. That's the brand new AEW pay-per-view, so we appreciate you guys for watching. We'll have a review and all that up for that as well, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.